The action constraint lets us connect a complex animation into a simple movement of our target bone or a simple slider on that constraint that will play the animation. This is really handy when you want to automate some stuff. So you have a complex landing gear on a plane opening up and the wheels coming out. That's a good spot for it. But for here, I have a simple animation of, let's just call this like Wolverine claws or something like that coming out. And I want to connect it so that when I translate this one up, those claws are automatically going to come out. This is what the action constraint is very good at. So I'll just point out, I have animation on all of these 5 owner bones up here, and the animation starts at frame 1 and it ends at frame 21. I have gone ahead and named this animation, and just for safety, I've clicked the shield button, which means that if we're disconnected from anything, it's not going to disappear. So let's get about connecting it to the Y translation of our target. First of all, I'm going to disconnect it just by clicking that button there. It's still in our file, and because I hit the shield button, I know that it's safe. And then I'm going to set it up on one bone and then copy it to the others, because no one wants to do it 5 times. So I'm going to select my target, then shift select one of the owners, and then hit Control-Shift-C and choose Action Constraint. You will see the red icon. That means it's not working yet, mainly because we haven't finished setting it up. The first thing I'm going to tell it is which action that we're going to use. So I'm going to click in here and then choose My Animation. And then we're going to set the start and the end frame. So frame 1 was our start and frame 21 was our end. I don't want to connect it to the object animation because we did the animation inside an armature. If you are targeting an object, this is the button that you would select there. And then we have our target information here. So this is where it's going to get its information from. And what channel are we going to use? I want to use the Y location of our bone. Just turn on my axes. That is the length of our bone here. And I don't want the target to be in world space. I want it to be its local space. So now when the bone moves on its local Y, it's going to trigger that. And you saw it just go crazy there, and that's because we haven't set the range minimum and maximum. So I want it to start at local 0. So when it's there, that's going to be at frame 1. And then the maximum, let's just say I want to move it to a value of 1. So that would be here. That would be the end of our animation, which would be frame 21. So let's just test this. I'll select our bone and then translate it up. You notice that, boom, it's working. The next thing I want to show you is the mix setting. If we open this up, you can see some familiar options in here. We have our before and our after, and that's going to be the order in which it calculates things. Before means it's going to calculate the constraint before the local transformations, and after means it'll calculate the constraint after the local transformations. And our 3 options, full, aligned, and split channels, are how it's going to handle that calculation under the hood. Full will just do one lump sum for the location, rotation, and scale as one matrix calculation. Aligned is going to do one lump sum for the location and then split our channels for the rotation and the scale. And the split channels is going to split absolutely everything. But having said all of that, you can probably just leave this at the default setting. In my experience, this is the only setting that I've needed. But now we're ready to copy this constraint across to the others. That is really easy to do. I'm just going to shift select them all. And then up in our menu, we choose pose. We go down to constraints and you can see copy constraints to selected bones. But I have already gone ahead and added this to my quick favorites. So I have it here. I can just go click. And now when we translate our bone up, you'll see our animation is playing. Awesome. So that is how we connect this constraint to the movement of a bone. What if we wanted to connect it to a property? Well, we can do that with this option here. So let's just click this. You notice that our target has been grayed out. And that is because it's just going to use this slider here. Left is the start of the animation and right is the end of the animation. And now you're probably thinking that wouldn't be helpful because you'd need to animate each one of these sliders on each one of our owner bones rather than just one movement of our control bone here. It seems like a lot more work. Well, it would be, unless you create a custom property on your bone and then use that property to drive each one of our settings. Now, through the magic of editing, I've already gone ahead and created a property. I'm going to right click that, say copy as new driver. I'm going to paste that driver to each one of my constraints. And now I can control that animation with a custom property on my bone. And we can place this property on any bone that we like. And that is a demonstration on how to set up the action constraint 2 different ways.